You're totally right. Wow, okay. 90% yeah, 10% nah. 9 to 1 odds. Damn, alright, okay. Let's get this party started. GLHF. GLHF to Sonoy. Could I think on my feet? I feel like I haven't played this game in forever. We're just gonna go when it's bullet or it's blitz. We're just gonna go with the tried and true. I'm not out here trying to style on anybody. 1 to 10 payout would be pretty rad. You're not wrong. Furthermore, you're right. Let's just do this. It's a little spooky, but we can recapture here. Ooh, there's crazy shit going on now. Now I'm a teeny bit worried. But we probably win in a few turns. Is the thing. Right? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Let's force the issue. Because if while we're defending f2, we're still defending b2, so it's not like our queen is overburdened here. And I actually don't mind opening up the g file here. I just don't think that he's got enough assembled. What? Weird, man. That's a weird one. Okay, actually, I think that. Hold on. I think that we win as a result of this play, right? I think that we win pretty hard. Let me think of what to do here. What is the most logical? All we have to do is survive, so I'm okay taking a few minutes to figure out what we do. The thing is, well, no, because I can't really travel far enough back for the... But he's got to move this, because I can also travel back and then have a knight capture this queen, and then I'm up a queen. Let's see, here... There, I'm not super... Okay, what it does mean is that actually I can't do this travel now if this queen is here. So actually, maybe I don't want to move this knight at all. I think I want to give up the rook. And in exchange, defend this pawn with this knight and that knight with this knight. I think that this is Dawei. All we have to do is stall for just like 1 or 2 turns, which we can do really comfortably, and then we win. Because we go here, and then like here, check, and then move, and then takes, threatens mate the next turn anyway. Yeah, I'm not super worried about this. Maybe I should be, I don't know. But I'm just kind of not. Let's see. What's another... Takes. And then we're still in check from this board onto this board because there's nothing occupying d2 here. So, I mean, when you look at the timer in a position like this, it makes you realize how not bullet this game mode really is, if that makes sense. The thing is, these pieces were already defending that piece, so I don't really know why I've done this exactly the way that I have. I'm not afraid at all. I'm just slightly hesitant for what I think are pretty responsible reasons to be a little hesitant. Yeah, let's just do this. I really don't mind. That's cool with me. Now I get this queen. But I think I'd rather just win the game, right? Like, this travel just wins me the game. So do I take the free queen or do I win the game? Decisions, man. I could take it with this queen as well. It's probably easier to get the queen out of the way, and then I can always, because I can go here next turn, and this queen being here is actually probably better for me. Like, all things considered, right? So next question is, takes, knight defended. Do I take with the queen? Or do I take with the pawn? I think taking, well, if I have the, why am I calculating this? I'm just gonna win the game. Yeah, no, he can't really do much there. I don't know why I'm so worried. E2 is covered on both of these boards, so I'm not too worried about that. Now, see, at this point, I probably actually won't even travel because I don't have to, right? Let me think, but not too long. Could check. Takes. Nah, it's probably not worth. Wow. Takes. That's probably not worth either. Probably just do one of these, to be honest. I think that's totally safe in this position. All right, we've got a minute to convert. He doesn't even have a check here on this board now. And a minute to convert what is like a dominant position. Yeah, I think there are like a billion ways that we could close out this game. Will I travel? I don't know. I do want to have the knight. I think that probably makes my life easier. So he chooses, okay, he chooses to lose the tempo, which is fine with me. It does mean that I don't have the opportunity to, well, actually, I'll probably just do this. I'll probably take here instead of opening that up so that I can take it next turn. And then I'll probably do, wow. I don't know, what is the easiest way to do this? Well, maybe just that. To cover all my bases. Yeah, this I don't mind opening. He doesn't have access to a queen. There I can just take both of the pieces. Sometimes you really just don't have to be too worried. You know? You can just go hamburgers. In a position where your opponent gives you everything on their side of the board. I mean, I'm not mad about that. Don't really know what the goal is there. But we can threaten mate here. And we can threaten this here. Interesting. I think we just won the game. Question mark? Let's just do a little bit of this. Nice. Okay, clean. Nice and clean. All right. All right. Well, there we go. What I think that this is pretty textbook. GG, Sonoy. I think this is a pretty textbook case of just like keeping your cool and not that's such a good emote, Poison. You know, staying level-headed, not letting the time pressure get to you. You know, like it's incredibly tempting to sort of lose your cool and also tunnel vision into like a strategy that you've got pre-planned because you don't have very much time to think about it. And it can be difficult to just accept on its face, like wrote material advantage in favor of, you know, the sort of weird situation where there are a few like openings to your king or whatever. And I think if I had been liberal with, if I didn't have the flexibility of abandoning my initial plan to sack the bishop, then like giving him a queen on this board in a position where, I mean, honestly, I think that I probably would have won anyway, but you know, probably the way that I lose this game is giving Sonoy a timeline back and a queen back, and letting him capitalize on like the progress that he made by doing his own like sack of the queens and the initial travel, etc. So Gordian Tangle says, aren't you a physics guy? I feel like that means you should be able to instinctively detect time anomalies, just like a lawyer should be able to feel if the government is shut down. I haven't gotten there yet. I think maybe those are powers that are bestowed onto you when you defend, like upon submission of dissertation. I think that you just get it. It's like, you know, it's like the lightsaber that's presented to you at the end of, I actually don't know enough Star Wars lore to know if this analogy even makes sense, but you know, you graduate and they're like, here you are, this very niche and largely speaking impractical superpower. Yeah, I never got into Star Wars. Speaking of superpowers, studying physics has given me some superpowers, I think. I'll probably do maybe like a video on this at some point, but just like learning about stuff. I trained myself to see polarization with my naked eye. I'm like an optics guy, and I do stuff with light, and I can like tell how an image is polarized based on like just my eyes. But I don't have time to go into it, I think, right now. It's something anyone can learn, but I wouldn't have known that that potential even existed or what polarization was if I wasn't a physics guy. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. I just hate it. I never got into Star Wars. I'm not like big into the Star Wars universe, like super deep lore, like the extended. I don't like read the novels, but you know, I'm a fan. I enthusiastically consume all Star Wars content that comes out, like the movies and the shows. Said this to a lawyer once who tried to counter with, you're a microbiologist, can you tell if there are bacteria nearby? To which I paused and went, yes. To be fair, I can also tell if there are bacteria nearby. And the answer is yes. Vibratory telepathy. By transmitting invisible vibrations through the very air itself, two users of this ability can share thoughts. As a result, vibratory telepaths can form emotional bonds much deep. What are you talking about, Sonoy? Mundane magic? Is this what am I reading? Is this like an anime exposition? You didn't get the quote reference, so that already could. No, I got the reference. I understood, and I appreciated the reference. Come on. I get the reference. You got to give me that much credit. I know bees' eyes can do that with polarization too. That's how. No, it's not how they avoid crashing into bodies of water. Because not all reflected light is polarized. Reflected light is only polarized at a certain angle, at like, you know, Brewster angle. But bees do that. Man, this is a whole, I have like a course that I sort of designed that's like an after school program. I teach high school girls in the Women in Science and Engineering high school program that runs at my university. And so I teach them physics, and what I basically, it's like I put together a bunch of sort of activities and lectures about light. And one of the things that I do like a whole 30 minutes about how bees are amazing, and how they utilize like polarization. They use it to locate the sun. They can like see through the clouds into the sky because the sky is polarized because physics. And so they can use the polarization of the sky to like orient themselves. And they communicate that information by dancing in the beehive. They have like dance-offs and there are like two dances. One of them is kind of like to communicate the vague proximity of food, and they do a sort of they do like a conga line in a circle and gather other bees, and then they head out, and like the bee that's at the head of the conga line takes them to where the food is, and they bring it back to the hive. The other one is like twerking. They communicate via twerk, and like the angle of the twerk with respect to like vertical gravity communicates the angle with respect to the sun that the food is located in. And they do like they like vibrate their booty, and they like move in a direction, and then they loop back around and they do it again. It's fucking crazy, dude. Bees are nuts. And whenever it's time to move to a new hive, they have a twerk off. They like dance, and it's like last bee standing is the one where they're like, okay, that bee is the one we're gonna follow to go to the new hive. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, bees do that, and ants kind of do that too. And it's cool how it works too biologically. I'm getting too into the weeds, but it was from a post. Oh, it's just speech. It was from a post on Less Wrong called Mundane Magic. Just think about everyday abilities as supernatural. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, if you want to, I'm sure that you could frame basically any part of like the human physiology as magic. Do you know about those polarized fishing glasses that let you see fish trying to block the primary polarization of the most likely reflected angle? Yeah, something like that. No, it's just glare is polarized, and like the polarization is stronger the closer that you get to the Brewster angle, which for water is like, I think 54 degrees or something like that. I think so. It's like close to 45, close-ish. So if you're like in a hallway, if you have like a polarizer, this is an activity that I do with my students. If you take like a polarizer, just like a sheet polarizer, which I guess isn't something that you have access to if you're not like doing optics stuff, but you can order them online. They sell them because, you know, they put them into like electronics, because that's how LCD screens work. So yeah, or if you have polarized sunglasses that like literally it's just a polarizer. So you can just take a polarizer if you're in like a hallway, a long hallway that's got like tiles that reflect light. And as you rotate the polarizer, you'll see some of the light that's reflected from the ground at you like disappear and reappear. And it's like a really stark effect, and it only works like at that specific angle. Is there one on smartphone screens too? Yeah, that's the way that LCD screens work is, man, I'm really going ham with this tangent, huh? Basically the light, you know, what polarizers do is they let through light that is, you know, light is electromagnetic waves, and they're transverse waves. So that means that they go in a direction. And so polarizer is like a barrier that lets light of a certain polarization go through, but blocks light of the other polarization. And so the way that LCD screens work is there are little liquid crystals that basically act as polarizers. Actually, they act as wave plates, and there's like a static polarizer in front. But my point is that the LCD screen works by the electric signals modify the little liquid crystals in this body that change the polarization of the light coming out of each pixel. And then the polarizer in front is like the filter that makes the changing of that polarization let either more or less light through to control the brightness of that pixel, which is how you like create an image, etc. I do a whole thing. I like teach about this to my students every year. Polarization phone filter. Yeah. So that's what, if you strip out the polarizer, then you can sort of recreate it as like a personal screen, the way that Poison has shown in that image, by like removing the polarizer and just holding it up to like your face. Then you'll just see white unless you look at it with the polarizer. I have two in my car. Gordian Tangle is he's just ready for whatever optical emergencies may show themselves. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so the same thing works with water. Like it's a really marked, you know, if it's like midday and you're standing at a certain angle with respect to at a certain like distance from a river, then the river becomes like totally pure, or lake if you're doing lake fishing, and you can just see right through the water. It's kind of crazy. Works with a pool, but for a pool there's a lot more like waves and ripples that are happening, so like the angle of reflection of the light means that the polarization, like uniformity, is a lot less homogeneous, so you can only see certain bits, and then you'll see like glare from other parts of the river. I love the demo where you have two polarizers and you let more light get through by putting a third in the middle. Yeah, that one is cool. That's one that I go when I like teach my kids about the polarizers. You have the one polarizer and then the second, and it's like completely opaque, which already blows their mind. And then you keep those where it's like you can't see them through them at all. And then you add a third polarizer at a 45-degree angle, and suddenly it becomes transparent, and it just like blows their mind. And then we talk about it. It's good stuff. Malice's law, I guess, is technically what you would call that. The amount of light that the polarizer lets through based on the relative angle. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Sound like pond phases. I think I have those because over a decade ago I took a few from my high school physics class because I wanted to do optical experiments at home. That's cool. If someone joined the stream, I feel like this is exactly what they would expect from a 5D chess stream, someone talking about polarization with a triagonal mate in the background. No, it's very on brand. Too little linguistics. Yeah, we got to inject more linguistics into this situation. No, but I always thought about making content about that stuff, because there are a lot of really cool demonstrations. Like, there are a lot of cool demonstrations that I came up with that I haven't seen anywhere else. That would be cool to capture and make some content out of. I don't know. Well, I guess people who enjoy the rest of my content are probably likely to find that kind of stuff interesting, or like a tutorial on training yourself to be able to see polarization. Like on this monitor, I can just look at this monitor and tell what the polarization of the monitor is. Like the light coming out of the monitor, I can just tell. It's really cool. It's this thing called, it's related to, it's called Heidinger's brush. There's like a biological, it's kind of a coincidence, but there's like an alignment of, I'm really going down the rabbit hole now. Maybe I'll cut myself off. You should also talk about light being able to polarize in helixes. Yeah, circular polarization. That's a lot less magical than, I think, well, I mean, it's really cool. But yeah, if you offset the phase of like I do a demonstration about that when I teach my students as well. But if you have like the X component and the Y component of the polarization like in sync, then you get like a diagonal or like a linear polarization. But if they're offset by like 90 degrees or like pi over 2 phase, then it becomes like sine and sine to like sine and cosine, and that draws out a circle. So the polarization like the electromagnetic wave can sort of travel helically. I do a cool demonstration with that with like I have a really long high quality metal slinky, and so you can make like waves happen and like propagate like a traveling wave down the slinky in a way that's really obvious and like hands-on. And if you do it like circularly, if instead of like just shaking the slinky up and down, you do it like in a circle, then it's really cool. You'll get like a helical sort of excitation that travels down the slinky and like bounces back. It's really cool. The students love that. Does circularly polarized light end up polarized at every reflective angle? No. And also you're thinking of, I think you're thinking of unpolarized light, which is the light that comes from the sun. Sunlight is unpolarized, which means it's like polarized in all directions, if you like, because it's not, it's like incoherent. The source of the light is incoherent. And then when it reflects, you get like it becomes perfectly polarized when it reflects at like the Brewster angle. But bees' eyes are polarized so that they can tell where the sun is when they can't see the sun, or like through like a little bit of information in the sky. Um, like seeing any one part of the sky basically tells them where the sun is, which is useful to navigate because they use the polarization of the sun as the compass for their communication. As a result, which is really cool, it becomes ambiguous, the polarization of the sky, and like the way that they communicate with the angle of their twerking, etc., becomes ambiguous. Like if the sun is in like that direction, then if I'm telling you look at the sun and go left, then it's like clear what that means. But if the sun is like directly above you and I'm saying, okay, look up at the sun and then go left, it's like, okay, well, if I look up at the sun and I'm facing this way and I go left, then that means a different direction than if I'm looking at the sun like facing this way and going left. And so the communication, it becomes ambiguous. As a result, bees siesta at high noon, when the sun is like right overhead, they go dormant. They like have a little nap because they can't like communicate the direction of stuff using the polarization of the sky and like this, which is crazy. Bees siesta, man. Bees are fucking nuts. I got so much more to say about bees, but I'm probably not. I'm not going to. That's adorable, TBH. That's what I'm saying. Oh wait, I still have a game review, but two people are above me. Gotta think about which one. Yeah, up to you, Sonoy. I'm super down to check out Quantum Chess. I'm looking forward to when you have enough points to check out Quantum Chess. I heard you can show it with a tube of glucose and water where unpolarized light goes through the tube and becomes circularly polarized. Yeah, there are like easier ways to show it. I do a really cool, I guess this isn't polarization, but I have a cool demonstration where I put like a bunch of glucose or corn syrup. I guess that's fructose, but whatever. Well, actually, it's mostly glucose because I don't use high fructose corn syrup, but I put like a bunch of water in a fish tank and then like really slowly put like a large amount of corn syrup in, and I let it sit. And it sort of deposits itself in a layer at the bottom, but then over time, it sort of gets like, it becomes a smooth gradient of like corn syrup to water. And so the index of refraction in the solution is like, there's like a smooth gradient. And so if you shine like a laser pointer through it, and if you can't see it very well, then you can just add some pine sol in there. It does a really good, or milk, like a tiny drop of milk. It does a really good job of like putting in scattering elements into the water so that the laser beam through the water becomes super bright. The gradient of the index of refraction makes the laser pointer beam go like straight up semicircularly like a cycloid and bend in the water. It's really cool. It's the same. I use that as an illustration of how mirages work. Mirages, like when you're on the road on a hot day, and you're like looking out forward, and then you see it looks like there's water on the road, and you see like a reflection of the cars in front of you. That's like an explanation of how that happens, but like a visual demonstration. Okay, all right. I think that we're going too ham. That's also the reason all these mosquitoes end up running into lamps in your rooms. Yeah, very similar. Well, yeah, that's why like any bugs are attracted to light, right? Because they use but in that case, it's less about polarization actually, and more just about like the sun, like as a brightness entity. Because, you know, looking directly at the sun, it's unpolarized. Incandescent light bulbs are unpolarized. LED light bulbs, depending on how they're made, can be unpolarized for the most part. So yeah, but silly mosquitoes. Mosquitoes, I think, also see polarization, but they're less so. They're less like, their eyes are less specifically made. You know what animal does see polarization is cuttlefish. Bro, don't even get me started about cuttlefish. Cuttlefish are fucking crazy. They have like these insane eyes, and they have polarization patterns that they can generate on their body, as like, you know, octopi can change like the color and texture of their you know, bodies and stuff to like communicate information or to scare people or as camouflage or, you know, scare away like predators or whatever. Cuttlefish have like they have like patterns that they can put onto their body that are just based on polarization, so other cuttlefish can see the patterns and they can like communicate to each other, but fish that aren't polarization sensitive, which is like almost all fish, can't. And so it's like this it's basically telepathy, but like eye to eye. It's like, it's insane, dude. Cuttlefish are fucking crazy. um Man, you guys got me going off. Not quite optics, but I once wore those red and blue 3D glasses for a full week until my vision normalized. For a few days after that, when I took the glasses off, once saw the world as red, once saw as blue. Funny story about that. So I actually have my note-taking methodology that I came up with in undergrad that I've been using. I go to class wearing red and blue 3D glasses to my lectures. I bought like nice ones that have frames, not just the paper ones, although I have a lot of the paper ones too. And I take my notes in two colors on top of each other. I take notes in red and in blue. I have like two nice erasable pens that are like a light blue and a red. The rote information that is on the page, that my professor is giving to me as like the statements of fact, I write in blue. And then on top of that, I have like a running internal monologue of like commentary regarding like my thoughts on the information in red, that's on top. And at first I need it, so when you put on the glasses, if you close one eye you see the information, and close the other eye then you get kind of like my footnotes on top of the information, or like my, you know, whatever it is that I have to say about what's going on. I actually got so used to it that I don't need the glasses anymore. I can just see the colors like on top of each other and decipher it. I haven't shared, I guess I should maybe make a video about this that demonstrates this, but anytime people, it's like every time I get into a new class, it'll take like one or two lectures before people notice, like, are you wearing 3D glasses? Like, what the fuck's going on? And then I show them and they're like what the fuck? And I've never heard anyone do this either. I wasn't inspired by it. I just sort of like came up with the idea. But it's really cool. It just helps me organize like spatially the information on the page, because people ask like, why? Like, I take notes like a normal human being. Why don't you just like, you know, write notes in the margins or whatever? To me, it really does genuinely help a lot, because it feels like I'm organizing the information on the page in like as close a way as possible to the way that in my mind I feel like I organize spatially the information, if that makes sense. Like when I think in my brain, I really do, there is like information layer and then like meta-analysis commentary layer. And I just like, I don't know, it's just sort of really similar to like how I think. And like actually doing it on the page helps me a lot to like internalize it like a lot. And also it's helpful when if I'm just looking for a formula, then I'll just look for blue. And if I'm like looking for like, I forget how this works, then I'll look for red, and it helps me navigate, you know? Yeah. And yeah, when you put on, you don't have to do it for days or anything. If you put on the glasses for like 5 minutes and you take them off, then suddenly you get one eye sees the opposite color as the other eye does. That's just common. It's like color fatigue. It's a thing, you know, it's like whenever you look at anything, like, and you look away and you still have like an image of it in your mind, it's just, you know, you like tired out like the color seeing organs in your eyes for a certain color range. You know, you've got like the 3 kinds of cones or whatever. Some of them get tired, and so if you like look away, then it's the same way that, you know, when you like smell things, you perceive like a change in smell, but then you get used to it after a while, and then you don't, you know, you just like stop noticing the smell. I mean, your eyes do the same thing, or any sensation really. Like if you wear like weights on your ankles or your arms or your wrists, that's the word I'm looking for, and then you take them off, then you suddenly feel, or if you wear a watch for a long time, you know, this is just how like the body like normalizes all like mechanical stimulus. If you like take off a watch that you wear for a long time, suddenly you feel like naked, you know. Just the same thing for your eyes. Man, well, I have gone off the deep end here. Let me catch up in chat real quick.